Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate, ringsidenews.com. This is episode number 776. If you haven't already, make sure you check out episode number 775. I give my thoughts on a lot of different topics in a 28-minute video. I think that was the longest one I've ever done. One of the longest for sure. Make sure you check that out. And you can submit questions for future videos at twitter.com/AaronRift. Be sure to use the hashtag ShaveTheBeard or hashtag SaveTheBeard, depending on which side you're on. But I'm curious to know what you guys think as we get closer to WrestleMania. With that being said, let's get down to your questions today. A lot going on in the world of wrestling as we get into WrestleMania season. And we have a TNA-related question to start things off. I actually got a lot of questions about Bobby Roode and Eric Young leaving TNA, but the question I'm going with is from a first-time asker, the Batfleck. With Roode and Young gone from TNA, do you see them joining Lucha Underground, WWE, the Indies, etc.? Please answer in video, no DQ for life. I've heard a lot of conflicting stories about Roode and Young leaving TNA. There's some speculation that it was due to finances. Maybe TNA wasn't paying them on time and they got fed up with that. Maybe they asked for raises and didn't get them. I've seen a lot of different stories going around. It could just be that both of them realized that things aren't going so well in TNA. And it's funny because Eric Young has been one of those biggest defenders of TNA that would always come to the defense of the company anytime there was a negative story out about the company's future. But Eric Young and Bobby Roode, both of them have been with TNA now for about 12 years, a very long time. They were considered to be the last of the remaining TNA originals in the company. Now, where do they go from here? WWE seems to be the most likely option. My guess is that Bobby Roode will almost certainly end up in WWE, as he should. I've been a huge supporter of Bobby Roode for years. Whenever people ask me who should WWE sign from TNA, Bobby Roode has always been one of the guys that I've mentioned. He would do very well in WWE on the main roster, in my opinion. I could see him perhaps starting in NXT, but I think you should just put him on the main roster like you did with AJ Styles. And I think AJ Styles succeeding in WWE so far is probably going to open the door for more TNA guys to come in. You know, we already have Samoa Joe and Austin Aries coming in, and I could see both Bobby Roode and Eric Young having a run in WWE. Now, Eric Young is a little bit different. I'm not sure he'll go as far as Bobby Roode in WWE or has the potential to go as far, but I could see him at least getting into NXT and perhaps getting on the main roster at some point. But I see him more of a mid-carder at best in WWE. But Bobby Roode, I think if they give him the opportunity, that guy could be a main eventer in WWE, and that's my opinion on that. There's no reason why he could not be a major superstar in WWE. Alright, this one comes from Ty Marshall. What are your thoughts on Sting being forced to retire? A lot of people have been asking me about Sting, and some people are shocked why I haven't done a video sooner discussing Sting's retirement from wrestling. We all pretty much knew after Night of Champions that Sting was done. I mean, it wasn't looking good. Somebody at his age being able to wrestle again after that kind of injury, it wasn't likely going to happen. And I wasn't surprised when I heard the news that Sting is being forced into retirement. You know, at his age, having that kind of neck surgery and being able to bounce back from that. I mean, it retired Edge, a similar kind of injury. And Edge is a lot younger than Sting. I think it's unfortunate the way Sting's career ended, and a lot of people would label his WWE run as a disappointment. Myself being included, I feel WWE could have done better with Sting. Wasn't a big fan of his music, wasn't a big fan of him losing to Triple H, and his only wins in the company were television matches that nobody remembers. One of those matches against Big Show, a guy he already wrestled in WCW. I don't know. I felt they could have done so much more with Sting. And of course, this means no Sting versus Undertaker match, which was a match people were wanting to see for years. But you know, that might have been more on Sting. I mean, 2011 was when that feud was really hot, the idea of those two having a match at WrestleMania, and when Sting was a free agent, but he opted to stay with TNA. So it is what it is. Some things are just not meant to be. But on the bright side, Sting is going into the Hall of Fame. Should be a very fun moment to see Sting get inducted into the Hall of Fame. And it's definitely well deserved. And I'm glad he's getting to be the headliner this year. And he's going to be featured in the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2016. Alright, this one comes from World King Kanji. Now that Sting is retiring, do you think Rollins could continue as a heel, boasting that he ended Sting's career? Definitely, if WWE decides to keep Seth Rollins as a heel in WWE, which, if you saw the previous video, I would like to see Seth Rollins come back as a babyface. I think fans are going to cheer for him as a babyface. So, if he's going to be a face, then there's no need to bring up retiring Sting. But if they do decide to keep him a heel, then absolutely, why not capitalize on that and let Rollins take credit for being the guy to retire Sting? I mean, that would be a great way to get him heel heat by having him mention Sting's retirement. Got this one here from Mr. Yuck. Do you think Lashley has gained enough experience to re-sign with WWE sometime? Would a match with Lesnar be interesting at all? Every 6 months or so, I get questions about Bobby Lashley coming back to WWE, and my answer has been and remains the same. Probably not. WWE is focusing on new people. They have so many guys in NXT, so many guys, and so few spots on the roster, and they already have a guy in the Bobby Lashley role who many would say does it better than Lashley, and that's Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is their beast. They're badass, super jacked up, Hulk-like machine. So there's really no need for Bobby Lashley. They already have that role filled. So I would say the odds are against it happening, but again, never say never. Alright, this one comes from Sean T. Flick. Who should Cena feud with when he returns? Should he be placed in the US title picture again? Please answer in video. I think it's inevitable that we'll see John Cena versus Roman Reigns. That seems to be a match that will happen at some point. They even teased it before Cena got hurt again and was out of the WrestleMania plans. I could see that match happening sometime this year. Superman versus Superman. Maybe they have a feud, who knows? Or maybe it'll just be a one-off match like Hogan and the Warrior. But I definitely see that match happening. And maybe John Cena versus Dean Ambrose at some point. I'm trying to think of guys that Cena has not feuded with yet. My fear is he'll come back and feud with the League of Nations, and that will be boring. Same old Cena versus Sheamus, Cena versus Rusev, and who knows, they might even do Cena versus Orton again if we're lucky. We'll just have to wait and see, but I'd like to see Cena feud with some new people like Ambrose and Reigns and maybe even Rollins again. I mean, I'd be fine with Cena versus Rollins because they had a fairly brief feud last year, and they could just revisit that again at some point. Alright, this one comes from Juan Carlos Colon. Saw some rumors that Carlito and WWE got into agreement so he can come back. Do you know if any of this is true? I think that is more from Carlito's end, that he did an interview where he expressed interest in coming back to WWE. But once again, going back to Lashley, he is a past star, and WWE often doesn't bring back past stars unless they were really popular. They brought back RVD. They'll probably bring back the Hardys. They did bring back the Dudleys. So anything's possible. But I think with Carlito, he wasn't big enough of a star for WWE to really want to invest in that character again. But I think there's a better chance at Carlito than Bobby Lashley, just because Carlito has his family pedigree and he has his brother in WWE. So I would not rule it out at some point, him coming back, maybe for a nostalgia run similar to the Dudleys. But once again, the Dudleys were one of the top tag teams in WWE during the early 2000s. Carlito, at his best, was IC champion or US champion or whatever. Never really got past that level. Alright, this one comes from Eric Cruz. Too much to say, so he put it in an image. With all the disgruntled superstars on the WWE roster and Vince's rumored dislike for the NXT talent, could you ever see the day when the top stars, execs, and players walk out in protest to demand change? I always thought it was ridiculous to, quote, bury talent, since all it does is undermine the WWE product, like shooting yourself in the foot. I have to say WCW was worse than that, burying their talent on television. I was just watching a Nitro recently where Eric Bischoff was making fun of Scotty Riggs for ripping off Paul Orndorff, and he basically just buried the guy on television. The guy, he's one of his talents that is trying to get a push in the company with a new gimmick, and Bischoff is burying it. WWE, it does seem at times like they're holding back guys that seem like no-brainer moneymakers. You know, guys like Daniel Bryan, you feel like, what is the company doing here with this guy? The fans all love him, yet they seem to be holding him back. So yeah, you can say that about several WWE guys. You know, Vince calling Daniel Bryan short and a midget and all that stuff, you know, just making fun of the guy. You know, heels are supposed to lie, but when heels come out there and tell the truth about baby faces, you know, it just makes the baby faces look bad. Heels are supposed to go out there and tell lies. They're not supposed to be truthful. So you don't go out there and you call Daniel Bryan a midget and that he's not tall enough to be champion and all that stuff. You know, it just makes the guy look bad. It makes the company look bad too. But as far as people getting together and trying to force some sort of change, you know, this goes back to the whole idea of a union in wrestling. It's never going to happen because WWE can replace just about anybody on the roster. I mean, there is no one guy bigger than the WWE, and pretty much everyone, even Cena, is expendable. WWE can replace one guy with another guy or 10 guys if they have to. And, you know, at the end of the day, a lot of people are talk. They will say they want to make change, but they don't want to lose their job at the same time. And, you know, you look back at Montreal, you know, after the Montreal screw job happened, there were people threatening to quit WWE and walk out on the company and protest. And at the end of the day, I think Mick Foley skipped out on Raw, but he came back the next day for the Tuesday Raw taping, and Crush quit and Rick Rude left, but that was about it. Everyone else stuck around with the company, even if they were unhappy with Vince screwing over Bret Hart. So, you know, that right there just goes to show, at the end of the day, people are going to try and stick with their job if at all possible. Alright, this one comes from Aditya. Hey Aaron, Roman Reigns is now making his entrance from the ramp, so will his heel turn be coming? Does Vince give up on him? Please answer in video. A lot of people are speculating why Roman Reigns is coming down the ramp now instead of through the crowd. My guess is it's probably just due to safety reasons. You know, every time Roman Reigns comes out there, you risk a crazy fan doing something he's not supposed to be doing, and maybe WWE just decided that they've gotten lucky that something hasn't happened already. You know, several years back, CM Punk was in the crowd and he ended up hitting a fan that touched him. You know, I could see WWE not wanting that to happen again, and maybe somebody just decided, all right, you know, we need to just change him up a little bit and have him come down the ramp. I think that they should just give him new entrance music and go all the way with it. That's my opinion on it. Does this mean he's turning heel? My guess is probably not. I think people are reading too much into this, but we'll see. I mean, maybe there is more to it than just for safety reasons. Who knows? All right, this one comes from Joshua. Do you think the writer himself, Vince Russo, will ever get the credit from WWE he deserves? Well, he is getting the credit for killing WCW, basically, but when you mean him getting credit for actually doing something to help WWE as a company, I think it depends. If Vince Russo and Vince McMahon and the top people in WWE all get together and bury the hatchet someday, then yes, he will get the credit. But as long as he's not on good terms with the company, they're going to stick to their story that they've been telling for over a decade now, and the story that Eric Bischoff has told, and the people that are on good terms with WWE, all of them have this same story, WWE's story, on how WCW went down. And, you know, WWE has a point about some of Russo's stuff, but in Russo's defense, he did do a lot for WWE during the Attitude Era as a writer and helping get people away from WCW to watching the WWE's product. Russo definitely played a role. Was he the whole reason that WWE got ahead of WCW? No, absolutely not. But he certainly played a role and should get some recognition for the good things he did in WWE and not just everyone focusing on all the bad stuff in WCW and TNA. Alright, this one comes from D. Wicket. Obviously, injuries have completely changed how WWE is today. How do you see WrestleMania being booked if no one was hurt? I believe the plan was to do Triple H versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, with Seth Rollins perhaps going babyface, and I'm guessing they will revisit that when Seth Rollins comes back from injury. You know, I mentioned this in a previous video. I'd like to see Triple H win at WrestleMania and have Seth Rollins come back as a babyface, win the title, and then you can do Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns. But regarding the WrestleMania card, you know, Triple H and Roman Reigns is what they're doing now, but I think they would have done Triple H and Rollins. And then Undertaker and Cena, of course, would have been the other big match for WrestleMania. That would have been huge, but obviously once Cena went down with injury, WWE had to change plans. And with Orton, I'm not really sure what they would have done with him. Maybe Orton versus Ambrose. I'm trying to think of the guys on the main roster, the top guys. You know, that seems to make sense, but I'm not really sure. And maybe Sting versus Undertaker they would have considered if Sting hadn't gotten hurt. I mean, who knows? Alright, got this one here from Jordy. Would you rather see Hulk Hogan and WWE reconcile, or would you prefer he invests his $150 million into GWF or TNA? Okay, first of all, let's get one thing clear, a couple of things clear. Regarding Hogan getting $150 million, obviously Gawker is going to appeal that decision, and I think at the end of the day, Hogan will get a fraction of that money. He's not going to get $150 million. You know, they'll go out of business and Hogan might get something, but I don't think he's going to get nearly that much. As far as whatever money Hogan does get, investing in GFW, flushing money down the toilet. Investing in TNA, flushing money down the toilet. Investing money into his own wrestling promotion, flushing money down the toilet. Look at Hulk Hogan's Championship Wrestling. Enough said. Really, I think the only move for Hogan is to just reconcile with WWE when they are able to forget about the past and bring him back and just call it a career and just lay low. No need for Hogan to be spending money on outside ventures, and I'm sure he's got enough debts that he needs to pay off. Better to just stay out of the headlines and just enjoy the later years of his life. Just maybe come back to WWE someday and do the appearances and just lay low. Just relax and chill. I mean, Hogan has done so much for the industry. No need for him to keep spending money on other ventures. Just no point at this stage of the game. Alright, that'll wrap it up for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already at youtube.com/NoDQCAW. Please spread the word about this video. Share it on Facebook or Twitter. Send me your questions. Hashtag #ShaveTheBeard or hashtag #SaveTheBeard. Pick your side, and I will see you guys next time for more NoDQ&A video.